Hey guys, Corey and Joey here, bringing another first look. And today we're taking a first look at a few new products from Fish Arrow, Kasumi, Nories, and Decoy. Sorry if I got that name wrong. Really excited to check out some really cool stuff, some really neat looking, and well, you'll see when we get to it. It's some interesting looking stuff here, and I'm pretty pumped about it. How about you, Joey?
Absolutely. You know, it's always great seeing what's coming new from the Japanese domestic market, and often on the forefront of new techniques. And really, of the four baits we're looking at, three are kind of emerging techniques here. And one's just an interesting take on a great creature bait. But I'm really excited to hear more about these techniques, learn more about them, and incorporate them into my fishing. So to tell us all about that, we've got Munenori from Japan Import Tackle. Munenori, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to see you. Well, first up, we have from Fish Arrow, and this is one, Corey, that is an office favorite already because we have such childish humor. This is the Fish Arrow Heavy Poop Stick Bait. That's the Heavy Poop Stick Bait.
I love it.
Munenori, can you tell us a little bit about this and in general the scat technique that is emerging in Japan?
Yes, I wasn't sure if heavy poop is allowed to say in public in US, but Fish Arrow team decided to stick with it, so we can say that, right?
Yep.
Heavy poop. So Fish Arrow Heavy Poop is a bulky, heavy, soft plastic. I'm holding a couple for the camera. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So it is 3.6 inches. It's 18 gram, just about 5/8 of an ounce. It's a heavy sinking bait. Basically, how to fish is you fish it with a no sinker. Recommended hook size is 6/0. It's a heavy sinker, a heavy hook. The bait is designed to sink horizontally like this. And you let the bait approach the bottom of the lake. Because it's a heavy bait, it only takes a few seconds to sink it to the bottom, right? And you are going to fish it with the fluorocarbon line. Recommended lines, maybe 16-pound test. That's a lot of people are using, the Fish Arrow team. So you let the bait sink a few seconds. You let the fluorocarbon line sink also, which will take 15-20 seconds, depending on the depth of the water you are fishing with. You let the fluorocarbon line sink completely, completely disappear, because big line is the one that spooking the fish. You don't want that happen. So let the bait sink, let the line sink, then you slowly twitching the bottom, dragging the bottom, and have the bait bass pick up the bait. It's a somewhat slow approach, but when you throw big bulky bait like this, you are attracting the bigger specimen. That's the goal for it. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of video, Corey, coming from Lake Biwa, other places in Japan, of guys just dragging this thing, and then all of a sudden, oh man, they're on. And no doubt the big Japanese bass eat that thing. The big American bass will eat that thing. I've heard of guys across the country having some good success on this technique. And really, one thing you might look at that and say, oh, what is that supposed to be? Is it a worm or what? But when you look at a crawfish, rarely, unless they're being attacked, do they have their claws out. When they're just crawling across the bottom, they are very compact, just like the heavy poop. It's a very realistic presentation, a very subtle presentation, and one that gets big bites for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, when we first saw this, everybody just the name itself, they was thought it was cool. We definitely wanted to have it. But then we started watching some of the footage they have in Japan on the underwater stuff and the action. It's really cool. It's really convincing. It's like I said, it's a finesse technique, but you're targeting bigger fish. So it's just, I really think, for the guy in the back of the boat, it might be hard to fish if you're as a non-boater, but just a neat finesse presentation. But it's like, it doesn't take like a Senko, take forever to get to the bottom. So really cool looking stuff. An awesome, fun kind of name, but it's a very functional and cool bait. And it's going to be available for pre-order. Should be coming in sometime later this summer. So if you guys want to make sure to check that one out and get yourself some heavy poop.
Absolutely.
I'm saying heavy poop.
Yeah. If I may add a few more things,
of course,
guys. You mentioned this tucked into crow design. There are other bulky soft plastic like this in the market, as we both know. The problem of bulky bait is when you retrieve it, the bait rotate because of how body is designed. This tucked in crow design that fish shadow did, it prevents from rotating it. So when you retrieve fast, when you didn't get bite, you retrieve fast. This bait do not rotate, so you don't get the line twist. It's a smart design. So it is a tucked into crow design that is intelligently prepared for that line twist problem.
Interesting.
Very cool. And forgive me if you mentioned this. When you are rigging the bait, is the hook going right in that slot there, or is it cutting out the base of that slot, kind of going into the body? Where do you rig that bait up?
Yeah, there are hook slit on the back.
Okay.
That's where you want to go into that.
Okay.
And on the front side, on the top side, there's a dimple, which is a hook top keeper. Make it weedless. So there's a top and bottom.
Very cool.
Interesting. And Corey, you characterize this as a finesse technique, but Munenori mentioned that the Japanese pro staff is preferring 16-pound line.
Yeah.
So while it is a finessier, slower presentation, you can get away with heavy line, and because it is so weedless, this is a great a great bait to use around submerged grass. Around lay down wood, great little offshore bait here. When you are fishing around structure, you're finding it hard to get bit on traditional techniques. Yes, finesse, but also power.
Heavy finesse or power finesse, kind of like the power drop shot or the flipping drop shot, whatever you want to call it. But and I guess finesse just keeps going on to another level and just keeps advancing. It's just really cool to see something like this. And again, it's a really cool looking bait. I can't wait to check it out this summer.
Absolutely. So again, that's the Fish Arrow Heavy Poop arriving soon.
Yeah. So up next, we have some news baits from Tsunami. Am I saying that wrong? How do you say that brand? Sorry, guys.
You're absolutely saying it wrong. It's Kasumi.
Kasumi, from Kasumi. Another very cool looking bait. And again, a really cool name. This is the Dancing Bone Doctor. Can you tell us a little about that bait?
Yeah, Kasumi design is very new to the U.S. market. You never heard of it before, but we have. Kasumi was an internal brand for Imakatsu, which is one of the biggest JDM name out there. Kasumi spun out and found their own office. So that's how they became known now. From one division of Imakatsu to totally independent Kasumi design. Just so you know, they designed so much great baits while they were in Imakatsu. So here's the Bone Doctor. Very complex, a lot of moving parts. That's their signature. They are known for a complex design, and I believe they are one of the best designer there in Japan. So Dancing Bone Doctor comes in two sizes. Smaller one is 2.5, bigger one is 3.2. 3.2, although package says 3.2, this is a little bigger than 3.2. I kind of learned that hard way. The body is 3.2 with the leg. Its combined length is 4 inches. So now Kasumi Design, their office is located Chiba Kasumi area. They're very close to Tokyo metropolitan area because Kasumi water is hit so hard by so many people lives in Tokyo area. The water is highly pressured. Fish don't get bite anything. So Kasumi has to work really hard to come up with these very complex, very unique design lures to finally attract finicky fish in Kasumi water there. So this Dancing Bone Doctor is designed to fish with the jig head to attack the bottom. Kasumi water is shallow, muddy. So they want to make sure you are bringing this bait to the Kasumi fish. They're up there. And they did really good with it. For some reason, finicky Kasumi fish love this design. They're catching a lot of good fish. Now the fishermen throughout Japan started using this bait. And some people are putting on a swim jig, let it swim it. Just imagine this complex design start swimming in the water. You get attention of all the bass out there. So there are a couple really great educational video that Kasumi Design posted on the YouTube, which I will be providing you with the linkage, so you can use them. I know 2.5 inches has been already delivered to your warehouse. 3.2 inch is coming to US around end of July.
Okay.
They're almost there.
Yeah, it's a very neat looking bait. Again, it's kind of everything in Japan, as you know, is so highly pressured, so they have to kind of adapt and make new products, which only benefits us over here because our waters themselves are pretty pressured, but it just can help you catch more fish from doing that. And this is a really neat looking bait. You sit on the back of a swim jig, and I was thinking something like that, or to me it kind of looks bluegill-esque, but I think it'd be really neat on the back like a wobblehead or something like that, kind of just with all that action, just going kind of crazy through the water. It's very cool. I mean, it's definitely different looking, but it looks very fishy too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, holding this thing in your hand, the attention to detail is second to none, really. We see a lot of creature baits. We don't see a lot of them that have this level of detail, that many appendages. As Munenori mentioned, highly pressured but dirty water. These baits, even though they're small, they're going to move a lot of water. And man, they're really cool.
Yeah, it's neat looking. Man.
Yeah, so definitely want to check those out. As Corey mentioned, there's going to be a plethora of ways you can rig this thing from a wobblehead to a Texas rig.
Some people do drop shot too.
Oh yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah,
it's right in that drop shot size range. So get creative and get bit. Anything else to say about the dancing bone doctor from Kasumi?
Well, basically that's it. I just learned this bait, just obtained it. I fished a couple times, did really well. I like the result that I'm getting, and I'm pretty sure you and your customer will be happy with that too. It will get bit.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Well, on to the next one, Corey.
Yeah. Another new bait from Nories is the Nories Flip Gill Creature Bait. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah. So this flat profile bluegill bait. See how thin that is. It is getting serious popularity in Japan. This flat bluegill profile. A lot of manufacturers makes it. Nories actually have this since 2016. This is not a brand new bait. You just add a new size to it. I never brought it to the US because it was never offered, never available to overseas. It was somewhat kept a secret. So I'm bringing 3.6 and 5 inches. These are the size differences. This is 5, 3.6. I believe both of them are delivered to your warehouse.
Yes, we do have them both in stock right now, actually. So there's the 5 inch and there's the 3.6 you can see for reference.
So original idea was to fish with Texas rig, Carolina rig. A lot of people start adopting the free rig presentation, which will catching a lot of fish now. Then we added the Jika rig, zero dan, different presentation to it. I just saw a video that Taku Ito, the Elite Pro, posted it. He was Nico rigging it. He was fishing this way, have the nail weight on the bottom, using a 3/0 hook. It's not offset, it's a Masbari hook in the center, and just dragging off the bottom.
Huh.
I actually tried it, and it was really, really good during the bed fishing season. Fish will not like it if the bait approach like this, And there is a video available, which I will provide you with the URL. So Taku was also fishing without weight, just swim it this way. Because of this flat design, it catches, move the water very, very well. So Texas, Carolina, zero dan, Nico rig, swim jig. Just
the possibilities are endless.
possibilities are endless.
Absolutely.
That's the word.
Yeah. So you know, Corey, it's really interesting. We're always, especially during the spawn, post spawn, bluegill spawn. I don't know about you, always dipping craw legs in chartreuse, my swim jig tails in chartreuse. We're always taking these non-bluegill profile baits, tubes, creature baits, craws, and trying to make them look like a bluegill.
Yep.
And you know, forcing a non-bluegill profile lure into a bluegill application. And now Japan's providing us with these bluegill style creature baits. And as Munenori was mentioning, there's just so many ways you can rig this. You know, I think the first thing that came to my mind was flipping and punching.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
But you know, obviously guys are doing all kinds of stuff. Taku Ito, as he mentioned, was even Nico rigging this.
That's crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a perfect little bluegill profile. I mean, when you see them popping out of the mats, that's the size.
Yeah.
That's the size they're chasing. That's the size they're eating.
Or
So-
you could fish it over a mat. Make kind of something different too. Yeah. It's a little.
Leave it to Corey. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, it's going to be a great profile around grass. It's going to be a great profile, obviously, to you know, anything from braided line and a big flipping stick down to it sounds like a spinning rod and a Nico hook. So really interesting, versatile, and really a new category and a new shape of bait for us. We haven't seen a ton of this. So really interesting. That's the Flip Gill creature bait from Nories. We have it in stock. It should be up on the site.
Available right now for purchase. And I noticed a kind of unique scent to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost smells like Fritos, oddly enough. Doesn't it? Kind of? I don't know what else to explain it, but I'm like, Fritos.
Oh, get some chili and
Taste it.
cheese. Good to go.
Yeah. Very cool bait. I love the bluegill profile baits. Definitely want to check those guys out. So unless you got anything else to add, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, there's actually one more
Okay.
application I want to introduce.
Yeah.
This is a 5-inch one.
Sure.
Oh.
This is. Can you see 2 hooks?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this Norio Tanabe, the boss, big boss of the Taku. This is his presentation. You can use any chatterbait you like. This is the chatterbait trailer,
Oh, wow.
the 5-inch,
Uh-huh.
and he was casting behind the bass and just fishing, retrieving fast over the bass. Don't drop it. He was just showing the shadow moving. So the bass here, see the shadow and look it up.
Well, that's pretty smart. That's cool.
Very, very interesting presentation.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very versatile bait. Anytime you want to imitate a bluegill, I mean, it's a bluegill profile, so just figure out any way you want to rig it, sounds like, and you can get that bluegill presentation in any way you want.
So often I'm doctoring up a vibrating jig, a chatterbait, to look like a bluegill.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have the trailer in the bluegill profile
you
until
go.
now. So, thank you, Corey. You know I'll end up with it anyway.
Oh, yes, he's the sample.
I'm the sample
Oh,
thief. All right, well, a really interesting bait, new category bait. And that brings us to our last item to talk to Munenori about. And this is a follow-up, Corey, of something you and I talked about last year, which is another new technique that I hadn't even heard about until we talked to Munenori last year. And that's hover strolling. And this is the new Decoy worm. It's the Decoy worm hook. It's the 1533FF. It's the hover hook. Munenori, can you tell us about this?
Yes. So hover strolling is getting serious popularity. A lot of people fish it, but because of how hook is exposed, you cannot attack the cover weeded area where all the big fish are hiding. So Decoy came up with the weed guard. And can you see this?
Yeah, we got a really good shot here on the website. You can see it really well
Okay.
and see that weed guard on there. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is a monofilament guard, and you can twist it, cut it if you have to. So you can, attack area that you always wanted to attack now. And because it is a monofilament guard, if you don't need it, you can cut it and reverse it, make an additional extra worm keeper when you want to cast really far. You know, you don't want to approach to that secret spot. You can do that. So there are two sizes available: size 2 and size 3. Size 3 is for worm size between 2 to 3 inches. Hook size 2 is designed for worm size 4 inches. So those are the two most popular soft plastic size that goes on to hover storing applications.
And it looks like we have a 4 and a 1 coming in later this year, right? Later this summer.
Size 4?
We have a size 4 and a size 1 coming in.
No, size 1 and size 4 are not offered yet.
Okay.
Maybe next year, not this year.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like we got you covered on the core sizes. Munenori, for those that aren't familiar with the hover strolling hook, Corey must be rubbing off on me. For those that aren't familiar with their hover strolling technique, can you take us through exactly what that is? Maybe what line size? I mean, this is a serious finesse technique, right?
Yes, it is. Before hover storing, people are using small size jig head to let it swim in. You know, heavy jig head will get you down. Jig head size gets smaller and smaller. And the technique called mid-range storing was developed. So there was a weight size somewhere between 0.6 gram to 2 gram. People are attacking like 1.5, 2.5 meters, like 5 to 6 feet deep. Now, the problem with that is fish get finickier, and because of the weight, jig head goes down, and you have to retrieve somewhat too fast to attract finicky fish. So hover storing was discovered and developed to fish with the small. I don't know if you can see this.
Very tiny little nail weight. Huh?
Tiny nail weight.
Tiny nail weight.
Yeah.
And I'm using 0.45. They are 0.3 gram now available. So you're almost finessing or almost suspending this bait. Go super slow like this. I'm holding a fish arrow 3-inch. That's the bait that I use because fish arrow flush J is a floating design bait. Applying small nail weight make this bait almost suspend, you know, super slow sink. So that's, you know, key of hover storing success is go slow, just super slow. That's what it is. So hover storing hooks are designed with a thin wire. It is a finesse hook. So you are going to use light action or somewhat ultralight action rod. So the fishing line you are going to use is somewhere between 3 to 6 pound test.
Wow.
I know Japanese people like to use thinner lines. Some people do use 2.5 and 2, even 2 pound test. But US, I would recommend 3 to 6 pound test line. There are good 3 to 6 pound test line up there. Many Japanese lines are pretty strong. You know, it's not a 3 pound test from 20 years ago. It's a 21st century. 3 pound test from Japan will do the job.
Interesting.
Okay.
And where are you placing the nail weight in there? Is it on the belly? Is it in the head?
There's a chin. You can actually see the hole.
Right.
It's the line slot, sinker slot. You can just put it in there. So when you do hover storing, hook are positioned on the top to have the sinker slit available.
Okay, yeah.
No? So it's not center. It's upward. So that's how it is rigged.
Interesting.
And I think you kind of covered it when you were talking about it. Basically, you're just throwing that thing out there and just let it slowly sink down and just a slow, steady retrieve, right? You're not doing much, no dragging. You're just swimming back to the boat.
Correct. That's all it is. You're letting the line slack going, you know, just pulling the line slack. No line tension at all. Because fish don't like line tension.
Interesting. You know, Corey, that's a lot of our traditional anglers, bass fishing anglers might be looking at that going, I don't know, that's not for me. But when the fish are on small bait and you can't get bit, I gotta say, I'll do just about anything to get bit. And as Munenori suggested, you know, the 2, 3, 4 pound test is not like it was 20, 30 years ago. I've caught plenty of big trout on 2 pound test, but I never think about that for bass fishing.
True.
You know, maybe I need to open my mind on the days when it's tough, when the bait's small, it's tough to get bit, clear water. And really, this isn't that far out of the box for our anglers. You think about spy baiting, you think about hair jigs that are you really like little marabou jigs that are so popular. Guys catching 4, 5, 6 pound smallmouth in the current on these teeny tiny jigs. So this is just another application that you know, falls right in line with those small hovering style baits and really giving the fish a look. You know, where Munenori is suggesting you just keep up with the line drag. You're not pulling the bait along. You're letting the weight of the line pull the bait along. Really, really interesting technique. Now a weedless version. And Corey, I'm sure you're up on your metric weights, but I believe it's 454 grams in a pound. So when you're saying 0.3 gram weight, I mean that's next to nothing. Yeah, that's a grain of salt. So just a really interesting technique. Been employed in Japan. I'm sure there are some guys in the States here who are really wanting to keep this quiet because they're probably catching a lot of big ones in clear water on it. You know, I know this is something they've been doing down in the Southern California lakes for quite a while and catching really big ones. Might not get talked about too much, but you know, you'll be shocked at the size of fish that will eat a tiny bait on light line, and you know, with good tackle, you put those fish in the boat.
Yeah, no problem. I know one angler in this place is probably been throwing. It is already probably Hodges. He's probably out there. He's king of the light line. He likes doing that kind of stuff, and I'm excited about it. I just gotta. Hopefully, I'll catch a fish after a little bit. I'm not a very patient fisherman, so if after about 10 casts of this, if nothing's happened, I'd have a hard time. But I'm guarantee it's gonna catch fish. Really cool technique. And Munenori, I really appreciate you taking the time to come show us all this stuff. Always bring us cool new stuff from Japan. I mean, Japan tackle is what you do. Wear many hats. Obviously, I want to comment on your hat changes throughout the whole thing. Very good on that. Wearing the hats of all the brands representing. I'm sure they'll all be happy. I'm sure everybody else picked up on that. If not, that was very slick. So congrats on that move.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Corey, because I did want to point that out. You get an A+ for effort here, Munenori. And hey, maybe in our next video, Corey, you and I should try wardrobe changes between cuts here.
We could try. We need a few more hats, though. Somebody
absolutely. Munenori, thank you so much for joining us today and taking us through all these exciting new baits from the Japanese market. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Corey, thanks for joining me. This has been First Look with Munenori from Japan Import Tackle.
See you guys.